which I get it. After watching a game like this, it's easy to make, declarations,
Yeah.
paint with broad brush declarations of the future. So, number one, the comment, oh, if we play like this versus scum, we're going to lose. Duh. Yeah, obviously that's the case. I 1000% agree. We cannot play like this against the team up north, period.
Mhm.
So that's a
I
given.
think even they know that.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. But what the funny thing about it is, though, flipping it before I go on with my point, flipping it to scum. If you read their message boards and listen to their media, they were saying the same thing. About being tied up with Indiana at the half, 10-10. Indiana's not good. They're not a
No.
good football team. I'm not saying Northwestern is. They're both not good teams. And then other games, just Maryland, and you could say the same thing. They can't play this way, and none
Well,
of those
Maryland was
games were
sneaky
in.
good until today.
Right. Exactly. But I guess my point is that we definitely understand this. I guess what I'm saying in response to that is, yes, I agree, but also we've seen too much football to just believe that Ohio State is going to come out with the same effort against our rival. Like that I just don't see that happening. Like, we clearly overlooked Northwestern. If you could ever say we're guilty of overlooking a team, it's this game.
Yeah.
Like flat out. So I'm saying, like, Penn State, they're a better team than Northwestern, right? They're especially a better team at home.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't play perfect last week, but we played way better against Penn State than we did Northwestern because the effort was there. They were up for the game. They took them seriously. So what I'm trying to say to you is that, yes, we can't play this way, but let's not try to superimpose today on other games as if they're the
I agree.
same. They're not.
Well,
Right? Go
look at
ahead.
both of our national title years. We had so many games that were so stupidly close. You figure, how are we going to beat Miami? How are we going to beat Oregon? How are we going to beat Alabama? How are we going to beat even in the 2002 year? How are we going to beat Michigan? It's I agree. You can't. It's not. No one game means not anything for the next game. Obviously, you can't judge a season by one game. Obviously, but we can definitely look at the last couple of weeks and say we're not playing well in certain areas.
Yeah. Looks like you cut out a little bit at the end. What was your last point?
I was saying, it's like you can tell by the last couple of weeks. I mean, you could say by the last couple of weeks there is a pattern, unfortunately, that we were not playing well in certain areas. I agree you can't go by one game, but we haven't really run the ball well in 3 weeks. And it's, I don't know. Again, I don't know why the passing game has been up and down last 3 weeks. I mean, the defense seems to be consistently pretty good, at least creating opportunities. I mean, they weren't great against Penn State, but they did create 4 opportunities for us to be in scoring position, and they actually scored 7 themselves. So, and
Yeah.
today I thought the defense didn't create a turnover, but because there's not really much to be had, the ball wasn't in the air enough to really create a turnover today. But they held us in the game, while our offense was putrid for a while there. And that seems to be the way our defense is. But we, over the last several weeks, to get back to the point, is I think we're starting to see some very not, some patterns that we need to break. We need to get better in the run game. That needs to get picked back up. The passing game needs to be more consistent. Offensive line needs to get back to being maulers like they were earlier in the year. I don't know what the change that needs to take place, but we definitely need to start seeing things trend upward starting next week.
No, for sure. And just to be clear, patterns that we've seen the past few weeks and today's effort is two different things, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I think, and this is just for the audience. I'm not saying you don't agree, Corey, but I'm just trying to
No, I
make this
agree.
clear that today's lack of effort and unpreparedness was its own animal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the pattern of issues of having trouble running the ball and even allowing the team to pick up too many yards on first down, that was compounded and made even worse because of our lack of effort today. You feel me?
I agree.
So
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying to you out there is that this is not denying that, there's not issues. It's just simply saying today's effort and today's, I guess, recipe of everything that came into play can't be superimposed on the scum game and say, oh, we're going to play like this, we're going to lose.
I
Like,
agree.
no, we're going to see a different team against scum. Now, with
Yeah,
that said, the issues we've been having, we have to get that better and clean that up. I'm just saying,
Okay.
effort wise, it's not going to be the same.
I agree with that. It's like the 2001 year was such a great example. 2004 is another great example where Ohio State teams were clearly not as good as the Michigan teams throughout the season, and we went and still beat them. I mean, that game's just different, and we can't let the one loss last year dictate to us as fans that that's how we're going to play every year against them. We know Ryan Day understands the rivalry extremely well, and we understand that's the game he doesn't want to lose more than any other game. So I'm not worried about effort against that team. I've seen years where I felt like, okay, 2018 was a great example. I really did not see that coming. Did anybody see 62-39 coming after that Maryland game? Week before when we won by a point and really shouldn't have won. If that guy can make an accurate pass in the end zone for a 2-point conversion, we shouldn't have won that game, but we did. And then I thought the next week, I was like, man, I don't know about Michigan. Michigan's playing well. They got a top 5 defense. I don't know how we're going to beat them next week. And then we come out and just, it's almost like no effort. We run roughshod over them. So you never know with that game. So you can never gauge what that game's going to be because of what the season holds. You just got to realize that game's its own entity. So
yeah, no, that's an excellent point. And I was thinking about that earlier, and I'm glad you brought it out because that's my point. Like, that's an example of how, like, shoot, even last year, we could flip it when we blew out Michigan State at the crib, right? And so there was a lot of confidence, obviously. Yeah, I mean, we blew them out, and then so you think about the Scum game next week, you have a little bit of confidence, like, man, Michigan State beat them. We should handle business, but it didn't happen that way. So I guess what I'm saying is, yes, we need to get better. Yes, we need to improve on these things that we're seeing. But today's effort doesn't automatically mean it's going to happen against Scum.